A couple of things to say here, because I don't think untruths in this debate help. It should be said that Labor's approach isn't all renewables, but it is majority renewables. We should say that. When you say we can now compare, apples with apples when it comes to the cost, we don't know the cost of your nuclear plan. So if we are going to have this proper debate, when are we going to get those figures?
Yeah, we've said numerous times now that we will provide the full costings of our energy plan before the end of this year. But that comparison point is really important because Labor keep calling out, what's the cost of building nuclear power stations? Well, that's not the issue. The issue is a comparable system. Their system, renewables-only approach, versus our system, which is a mix of technologies in order to create the most efficient system and lower energy bills over time.
But you would still have a fair bit of renewables under your plan, isn't it? What's the percentage? Would it be 50, 60, 70%?
Well, it depends on the time. Of course, we want to make sure that there is renewables in the system. You're right.
Yeah.
But we want to make sure that it's the cheapest mix, making sure that we've got that firming power underneath the renewables, but also the emissions-free nuclear on top of that at the end. So it's about getting to net zero in a sustainable and credible way, rather than just saying it's a renewables-only approach. We know that Labor want to have 80% renewables in the system by 2030. We think that is absolutely impossible, and even Labor's own estimates look like that's becoming increasingly less likely.
Well, 80% isn't renewables only, but yeah, that's right. The cost is enormous.
At what cost?
And look, I'd love to have Chris Bowen on the show. I'd love to have a conversation with him. Let's hope that can happen. We're running out a bit of time here, so just want to quickly ask you about unicaps. What's the Coalition's position when it comes to overseas students now? Are you rethinking your plan?
No, so we have always said that we would cap the number of international students, but it has to be done in consultation with the universities, not just the city-centric universities either, the G8 guys, but also the private providers and the regional and rural universities too, to find the right cap that is going to work for the system. We want to attract international students. We want the best and the brightest, but we've also got to make sure that the system underneath the visa system that's supporting our international student program is working, and it isn't clearly at the moment because we've got students that are staying and not leaving. There's now about a million current and former international students here in Australia right now. There's a series of visas that these international students are on. Some of them are bridging visas, some of them are partner visas or secondary student visa holders. Some of them are COVID worker visas, for goodness sakes.
But you did put a number on it. But the Coalition did put a number on international students. What is it at the moment before you consult?
We actually said that we would reduce the permanent migration intake by 25% over the next 2 years. And of course, international students will be a part of that.
That might need to change with consultation.
Must be consulted with universities. Yeah, that's right. To make sure that we have a system that is working for everybody.
So you might need to be a little bit more generous than first thought.
We wouldn't hope that we would need to be. That 25% reduction in the permanent migration intake is fundamentally important to make sure that we relieve the pressure.
So is that a firm commitment?
System and also our essential services. That's the commitment that Peter Dutton made in his budget and reply speech, a reduction in the permanent migration intake of 25% in the first 2 years of a Dutton-led coalition government.
Jane Hume, always good to see you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Laura.